Hello and welcome to my third YouTube video. Once again, I'll pick up where I left off. This time I'm going to travel outside my city a little bit. Going to be a little adventurous here and show you Monticello. Here we are where I left off in the war room in the basement of my White House. Now, for convenience, I put a nice little shaft here with a slime block so you can bounce on it falling down. Which goes all the way up to the roof. Now, since I'm in creative mode, I can just hop on down. Sorry if this gives you vertigo. Now, actually, before I leave, I tried to put, oh, it's a carpentry shop. Tried to put the bowling alley in the White House. It's just some slabs on some ice, but it didn't really work as a bowling alley. It was an effort. I believe Richard Nixon put the bowling alley in the White House. So here I have my stables. I think I might have taken all the fast ones already, but oh well. I'm going to use the roads so I can show you a little bit more of the city. Now, Monticello is outside of Charlottesville, Virginia. It's a few hours drive from DC. Last summer, I went on a trip there with my girlfriend, and we went to DC the first day, and then we went to Mount Vernon, which is Washington's home, and then we drove down through Fredericksburg and across over to Charlottesville. So it's not as close as my version is to Washington, D.C., but that's okay. I think everyone can forgive me some geographic splicing. This is the Washington Monument. One regret I have about the city planning is that I didn't leave enough space around it to really be close to real life. But I don't think I really could have had the proper size of the National Mall and the grounds around the Washington Monument and grounds around the Lincoln Memorial without having all the buildings surrounding it being too far away to render while I'm in the area. See, it's hard enough just to see both the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial with a modest render distance turned on. This reflecting pool is smaller than the real one, though I don't think very many people could eyeball that. Lincoln Memorial. When I went there were tons of people around the memorial. People playing guitar and protesters, and there were students on school trips. And, there were people from church groups handing out pamphlets. It was just crowded, lots of noise. It was lively. It was nice, but definitely stood in contrast to the Jefferson Memorial, which is across the tidal basin and had hardly anybody in there. It was nice and quiet, very pensive, peaceful. Right now I'm on the Arlington Memorial Bridge. It was built by McKim, Mead & White, which you may recall I mentioned that they were the architectural firm that designed Old Penn Station. They also did a refurbishment of the White House, I believe during Teddy Roosevelt's presidency. Arlington Memorial Bridge terminates on this side in a traffic circle, has these large eagle statues. My eagles look just a little derpy, but that's okay. I have Arlington House up there. It actually used to be Robert E. Lee's house. It's directly across the Potomac from Washington, D.C. And it's now part of the Arlington National Cemetery Complex, which is what this is. It's actually nowhere close to what the real one looks like, but I wanted to put a cemetery in, so it has memorials. I have an eternal flame burning. I have a greenhouse over there too. It's just something that I've worked on a little bit, mostly for the sake of landscaping. I started to build a small village in the other direction along the road. It's supposed to be like Arlington, Virginia, which was a very pleasant little town. Strike that, I'm talking about Alexandria. A lot of the houses, about half the houses, had gas lamps, working gas lamps, right by the front door. It was a cool little thing that they had in their town. There's a farmhouse, nice center hall colonial. I put candles in the windows. These horses have not been tamed yet. I'll eventually fill out the surrounding area with more fields like this. Put a few more farmhouses in. I built the road after I built Monticello. The Monticello, in my world here, was inspired in a weekend after I had seen the real Monticello. I really worked from start to finish on this project, which I don't usually do with any given building. I'll start it and then work on a bit here and there, but I did this one in a long weekend. I believe it was Memorial Day weekend, right after going to real-life Jefferson's home. If you've never been there, I really recommend the trip. It wasn't free, like the museums in DC are. It cost a little bit of money, but we went on the full tour, so we saw pretty much every room in the house, from the basement all the way up to the third floor. Went in and out of every single one of the main rooms, saw a lot of the bedrooms. It was really amazing. We couldn't take pictures inside, but that's kind of standard for large, stately homes that have been turned into museums. For my build, I needed a little mountain. That's what Monticello means in Italian, to put the house on, because, of course, you've probably noticed in Minecraft, hills tend to be very steep and small, not usually as rounded as real-life hills are. So I built this hill. I did it before I built the house. Most of what I actually did was I built a saucer, like top of the hill. Then each quarter I cloned underneath while offsetting it a little bit so that there was a bit of a slope. And then the steeper edges of the hill, I put lava, had it flow down. Then I covered it with water to turn into cobblestone. And then I replaced those blocks with the fill command with either raw stone or dirt. And then, of course, I cover the whole thing with trees. So here we come up on Monticello, Jefferson's home. Now, I think I will continue over to the stables, put the horse in there. I think I can get him in here. Okay. Oh, this is an ice house. Both Mount Vernon and Monticello had ice houses. They would be filled up during the winter with ice, and it would last, well, at Monticello at least, I believe it would last through August, at least into the summer. Now, ice houses usually had to have some kind of a bottom exit, and usually would come out the side of the hill in a tunnel. It's packed with ice, so won't be able to get up through there. The one in Mount Vernon was actually inspiration for the scene in National Treasure 2 when, oh, this is a privy, when Nicolas Cage's character, Benjamin Gates, discovers a secret passage at Mount Vernon. There we go. Oops, sorry, that's bad. I tripped on a pebble. Skinned my knee. I hope you all appreciate the dangers I go through to make these videos. Here we go, the front of the house. Now, I wanted it to be 2 blocks wide, the front doorway. So the clock has to be offset by 1. Jefferson built the clock. It's double-sided, and he had large weights which were on strings going down either side, and he actually put the days of the week along the wall, and an indicator on the weights would indicate what day of the week it was as the clock wound down. It was a week clock. That is a 7-day clock, like most clocks are. I have one 1-day clock. It's from the 1860s. It only runs for about 36 hours before I have to wind it again. It's really loud. I'm not sure if you can hear it while I'm recording this. But this is the entrance hall of Monticello. Over here we have a bedroom which was actually used as a schoolroom by Jefferson's daughter for grandchildren. Here's another one of those large maps. Show Monticello. We're all the way out here. There's the hill. This is the road we went on. That's Arlington. That's the Arlington Bridge. White House over there, Capitol over there. Yes. Up there is where I'd put Grand Central Station. And that bridge is actually the Golden Gate Bridge. I'll show that at some point in the future. The stairs in Monticello are really tight, and when we bought tickets to go on the full tour, they warned us, be prepared to go up really tight, steep stairs. This is Jefferson's library. Here I have the scroll shelves and some birds. I put random things on the walls. Jefferson liked to collect odd little devices and gadgets. So that's kind of what it looks like. Oh, this is actually a teleporter that brings me to Penn Station in the city. And in Penn Station, there is a teleporter that brings me right here. This is Jefferson's bedroom. Nice high ceilings with a skylight. Oh, Jefferson had a clock right over his bed. Here I have a picture of it, which I turned into an image in the form of a map. They actually sold these clocks in the Monticello gift shop, $1,800. I was never so tempted to spend that much money on a clock. He had it built in France and brought over here. Jefferson really liked France. This is the parlor in Monticello. He had musical instruments in here. I haven't built a piano yet. I need to figure out a good piano design in Minecraft. I have the mirrors I've used elsewhere in this world. This is the dining room. Skylight like Jefferson's bedroom. Nice high ceilings. The real house actually had a dumbwaiter built into the sides of the fireplace because the wine cellar is directly below. This was a breakfast nook. These are stand-ins for the busts that Jefferson had around the breakfast nook walls. This is kind of a butler's pantry for the dining room. This is the octagonal bedroom. Of course, Minecraft octagons have to be a little blocky, but you can see what I was going for. The octagonal bedroom was actually used a lot by James Madison, who was a friend of Jefferson, who lived somewhat nearby, but it was still far away enough that traveling to Monticello would be a several days long trip, uh, just so that the travel was worth it. I'll go upstairs. Bedrooms up here. I haven't fully furnished them. Doesn't mean they're not finished. Just means I haven't been properly inspired to put all of the furniture in them. And even in the real house, the upstairs bedrooms weren't as well furnished as the downstairs rooms. Whether that's because they don't have enough stuff for them, or in real life they weren't very cluttered. Not entirely sure. Of course, going upstairs, what I really like is the dome room. Oh, these are skylights, and they actually are stairs that go out onto the roof. And there were bedrooms up here for Jefferson's grandchildren. This is the dome room. It was used as a bedroom by one of the grandchildren for a time, but it was too cold, no fireplace in here. And, well, too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. And actually, the upstairs rooms at Monticello are not air conditioned. I believe the downstairs rooms were, but upstairs it was sweltering when we were up there. That early summer Virginia heat. This was a little hiding space that was used by a couple of the grandchildren, a couple of the girls, for reading. And actually, I tried to capture how the window was right above the door, so it almost looks like it's a door just to the sky. I did put barrier blocks here so you can't get up and rain can't come down. I put shulker boxes in because they let light through so that the parlor below is more well lit. Jefferson had to experiment with skylights because if he had the panes of glass too close together, the capillary action would allow for water to come up through and soak the room below. You had to calculate how far apart the panes had to be from each other to prevent that. Here, let me turn the time back to the morning. I'll go out through the parlor to the rear of the house, which is the most famous facade. It is on the back of the nickel. I'm sure everybody's noticed that. I have lots of bunnies around here. Now, while the house was being built, Thomas and Martha actually lived over here in a little dependency. Oop. Now, there's actually a staircase still going down. I put a ladder there. But it was just one room above and one room below. Now, I put Mulberry Row here because I wanted to be true to history. Mulberry Row is where a number of the enslaved persons lived at Monticello. Monticello, the real-life location, has a lot of good information about, well, what slavery was like at Monticello. And some of the dwellings have been rebuilt, and the ones that haven't, they have markers on what was there. They definitely don't seem to shy away from the true history there in Monticello, which was nice. It was kind of funny because a couple of the fellow visitors were a little indignant about it, but what are you going to do? Jefferson's been dead for nearly 200 years. He did certain things that we definitely do not like today, and can't go around defending a dead man just for the sake of defending him. Meat locker. Oop. Dairy. And then some of these were rooms for enslaved persons. Oop. And there were some gardens over here. And a sky view of the hill. And as large as I made this hill, it's still smaller than the real one. But it's large enough for the house that I built to sit on it comfortably with enough of grounds around it. They actually had a small gift shop over here and a little ice cream parlor. Actually, it wasn't even an ice cream parlor. They just sold little cups of ice cream. I just have horses over here. All right. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you get a chance to go to the real Monticello, again, I really encourage it. It was a wonderful trip, and definitely glad that we went. So thanks, and I'll post another video once I get around to it. It'll probably be Mount Vernon, so keep an eye out for that. Right? Nope, that was not the stop button.